Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to another important session of the ESIC 2021 Deputy Director Exam. And today we will be discussing the 15 most important MCQs for the current event section of ESIC 2021 Deputy Director Exam. Okay, so before starting the session, if you are new to our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe it and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates of the courses and videos offered by us. And you can also join our Telegram channel to get the access to the PDF of the sessions. To join the Telegram channel, kindly click on the link given in the description below. So let's move on to the session. Let's get started. And here is the very first question of the today's session in front of your screen, and all of you are requested to answer the question in the comment section below. And this particular question is related to the India State of the Forest Report 2021, which has been recently released by the Government of India. And here in this question, what you are required to do, you are required to identify the correct statements in relation with the India State of the Forest Report 2021. See, we always tell you that these reports, schemes, programs, all these particular part are really very important from the exam point of view, and especially those which are being released by the government. And when we talk about the India State of the Forest Report 2021, here the very first statement says that it has been released by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and it has been prepared by the Forest Survey of India. The second statement says that it estimates the total forest and tree cover of the country is 80.9 million hectare. Okay, and the third statement says that the area wise Uttar Pradesh has the largest forest cover in the country. And when we talk about the right answer to this particular question after analyzing all these statements, then my dear learners, the right answer to this question is both 1 and 2, that is statement first and 2 is correct. But when we talk about the statement 3, there is some error in the statement 3, as it says that the area wise Uttar Pradesh has the largest forest cover in the country, but as per the India State of the Forest Report 2021, the state which is having the largest forest cover in the country is not Uttar Pradesh, instead it is Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so that is the reason that this third statement is incorrect, and the right answer is option A, that is both statement 1 and 2 are correct. So let's discuss this report in little much more detailed manner. So here you can see the title of the report is India State of the Forest Report 2021, and it is an assessment of the India's forest and tree cover. So when we talk about the very first time when this particular report was being released, it was in 1987, and this 2021 edition is the 17th edition of this particular report. Okay, so when we talk about the releasing body, then it was the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And when we talk about the organization which was behind the preparation of this particular report, then it was Forest Survey of India which has prepared this particular report. Okay, so now as per the report, the forest cover comprises of the land of 1 hectare or more, with the tree patches with a canopy density of more than 10%, and this covers all the lands irrespective of the legal ownership as well as the land use. And this report divides the Indian forests in 4 different categories, that is the very dense, that is having the canopy density of 70% or above. Then it is moderately dense, which is having the canopy density between 40% to 70%. Then there are open forests which are having the canopy density of 10 to 40%, and then there are scrubs which are having the lowest canopy density, that is less than 10%. Okay, and the percentage of the total forest cover which are being covered by these 4 kinds of forests which have been categorized, in which all the Indian forests have been categorized are being mentioned here. You can go through them. When we talk about the forest which is being covered in this particular category, and the maximum area, it is 9.34% by the open forest, followed by 9.33% by the moderately dense forest. Okay, so when we talk about some other key important findings, here you can see that the total forest and tree cover of the country is 80.9 million hectare as per the India State of the Forest Report 2021. When we talk about the increase in the total forest and tree cover of the country, then it was 2261 kilometers. And when we talk about the India's forest cover in terms of country's geographical area, then it was 21.71% of the country's geographical area. And when we talk about the state which is having the largest forest cover, then it was Madhya Pradesh, followed by Arunachal Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, which are having the maximum, the largest cover area wise in terms of forests. Okay, and when we talk about top 3 states which are having in terms of forest cover as a percentage of the total geographical area, then Mizoram was on the top with 84.53% of the overall geographical area covered with the forest, followed by Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya. So rest of the things you can go through them. Now let's move on to the second question of the today's session, and the second question is once again a very basic question. Okay, and the question is, Chang'e's 5 lunar lander has found the first on-site evidence of water on the surface of the moon near Oceanus Procellarum in rocks and soil. Okay, so here what you are required to do, you are required to tell me in the comment section below that which country has launched this Chang'e's 5th lunar lander. Okay, see, it is a lunar sample return mission, and here you are required to just identify the name of the country which has launched this particular mission. See why this is important? Because this particular lander has found the first on-site evidence of water on the surface of the moon. And my dear learners, when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer is option C, that is China. So here you can see what exactly are these on-site evidences which have been found by this particular lander. And when we talk about the Chang'e 5, then it is the 5th lunar exploration mission of the Chinese lunar exploration program and China's first lunar sample return mission, and it was launched in year 2020 by China. Okay, so that was all from this particular question, and here you are just required to remember that which country has launched, what exactly is the name of the lander, the mission, and what exactly the important finding, which is the basic reason behind the importance of this particular news, that is it has found the on-site evidence of water on the moon's surface. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question, and the next question is about the Student Startup and Innovation Policy SSIP 2.0, and here you are required to again identify, you are required to analyze these particular statements in a relation with this particular SSIP 2.0, and then you are required to tell me that which one of the following statements mentioned above about this particular policy is incorrect. And my dear learners, when we talk about the very first statement, it says that it has been launched by the Gujarat government with the vision of sustainable development and inclusive growth. Second statement says it aims to financially support the school students in innovation at international conference of the academic institutions. The third statement says that it provides support to any person aged up to 35 years who is a school student, etc. See, whenever such kind of policies are being released, such kind of schemes are being released, then what are the different dimensions that you are required to cover? See, first of all, you are required to identify and you are required to cover that which was the releasing institution, the releasing body, the releasing country or the state. Okay, and after that you are required to remember that what exactly is the aim, and then you have to move on to the targets and other key features of that particular initiative, policy or the scheme. And when we talk about the right answer to this particular question, the right answer to this question is option C, that is none of the above. That means all these statements which are being mentioned here about the SSIP 2.0 are correct. Okay, so that is the reason our right answer for this question will be option C, that is none of the above. So here you can see that the Chief Minister and Education Minister of Gujarat has recently launched Student Startup and Innovation Policy. Okay, and this is being launched with a vision of sustainable development and inclusive growth. And what exactly is the aim of this particular policy? It is to financially support the school students in innovation at international conference of academic institutions, and it is going to provide support to any person who is aged up to 35 years and he is a school student. Okay, now comes another important point, that at the school level they are going to provide a maximum of rupees 20,000 per proof of the concept, prototype and innovation for classes 9th to 12th. So some other important points are also being mentioned here. You can just go through them, and I really believe that this particular question is also very much clear. This particular policy which has been released by the Gujarat government, and what exactly was the vision behind that? The sustainable development and inclusive growth. And that is the reason under this particular policy they are going to financially support the school students in innovation. So that's how they are going to promote the innovation in their particular state. Now let's move on to the next question, and the next question is once again on the very important report, and that report is the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2022. See, such kind of reports which are being released by famous international important international organizations are really very important. For example, it can be the International Labour Organization, it can be by United Nations, World Bank, or WTO or WHO. So all these reports which are being released by such organizations becomes really very important from the exam point of view, and that is the reason that we are discussing this particular report in the today's session. And here in this particular question, once again you are required to identify, you are required to analyze these statements in relation with this report, and you are required to identify the correct statement with respect to the above mentioned report. Okay, so here you can here you are required to tell me that what exactly is the right answer in the comment section below. The very first statement says that the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2022 has been released by Labor Bureau. The second statement says that as per the report, what exactly was the global unemployment? It is talking about some statistics here. The third statement says about the number of people, the number of adults which have fell into the extreme poverty and were living on less than $1.9 per day in purchasing power parity. And when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer is option C, that is only statement second and third is correct. And why exactly the first statement is incorrect? The reason behind that is it has not been released by the Labor Bureau. See, we are here talking about the world employment and not the employment in India. So if we will be talking about the employment in India, then there can be a role of Labor Bureau, but when we talk about the world employment, then it will be International Labour Organization and not the Labor Bureau, and that is the reason that the very first statement is incorrect. So here let's discuss this particular report much more detail. So here you can see that International Labour Organization has released the World Employment and Social Outlook Trends 2022, and this particular report tells us, it assesses the impacts of the COVID-19 crisis on the global and regional trends, and it shows their impact across the various parameters such as employment, unemployment, labor force participation, job quality, informal employment, and working poverty. So when we talk about the important key findings of this particular report, here you can see when we talk about the global unemployment, see, this report states that it has estimated that it is going to stand at 207 million in year 2022, which is 21 million more than in 2019. That means in 2019 it was 186 million and now it has been increased to 207 million in year 2022. Okay, the other important finding here is that in year 2022 around 40 million people will no longer be participating in the global labor force, and this accounts for loss of 52 million full-time jobs all over the world. This is such a stark reality, and it is really one of the most major negative impact that this COVID-19 pandemic has put on all over the world. And when we talk about the poverty, the impact of COVID-19 on the poverty, then this particular report also says that it is estimated that in 2020 additional 30 million adults have fell into the extreme poverty. And once again, a very important figure here that you are required to focus upon it. Okay, so that was all from this particular report, and I really believe that all these findings are really very important across such parameters such as the unemployment, the labor force participation, as well as the poverty. Okay, now let's move on to the next question of the today's session, which is here on your screen. So the next question is about the handbook on the global good practices for cooperatives. See, this particular handbook was being released recently, and that's why it is really important for you to cover. And in this particular question, once again, you are required to identify the correct statements as per the statement which are being mentioned here about the handbook on the global good practices for cooperatives. And here the very first statement says, on the very first dimension that we always tell you that which was the releasing body. So it was being jointly released by International Cooperative Alliance Asia and Pacific and NCDC. The second statement says about this particular handbook that what exactly it is. That is, it is a compendium of guidelines, resources, methodologies, key learnings, okay, of the best performing cooperatives in India as well as abroad. And the third point is about the title of this particular practices, that is the Sahakar Pragya Good Practices for Cooperatives. So when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer to this question is option D, that is all of the above statements which have been mentioned here are correct in relation with the handbook on the global good practices for cooperatives. So here you can see that NCDC, that is a National Cooperative Development Corporation, in cooperation with the International Cooperative Alliance Asia and Pacific, has launched the handbook on the global good practices for cooperatives, which has been titled as Sahakar Pragya Good Practices for Cooperatives. And this particular part is basically based on the brainstorming session which was being conducted by LINAC of the NCDC. The LINAC is what? It is Lakshman Rao Inamdar National Academy for the Cooperative Research and Development. So when we talk about this particular handbook, what exactly it is a collection of the guidelines and the resources about the best performing cooperatives in India as well as abroad. That means the best approaches, the best resources which have been adopted by the cooperatives all over the world. So this particular handbook is going to collect all of them, and it is really going to help the budding cooperatives or those cooperatives which are till now not able to get the most out of them. Okay, and apart from that, that is the reason that this particular book is going to serve as an action plan which is going to help these entities to achieve the goal of self-reliance. And there is some additional information has already been mentioned here, you can just go through them. Okay, I'm not discussing the same. So now let's move on to the sixth question of the today's session, that is about Atmanirbhar Shilpkar scheme which was being launched recently. See, this particular scheme is once again very important, and I already told you that all such schemes, the portals, the programs, the policies, all such kind of articles, all such kind of initiatives taken by the government are really very important from the exam point of view. And when we talk about this question, once again you are required to identify the correct statement in relation with the Atmanirbhar Shilpkar scheme launched recently. So quickly tell me the right answer in the comment section below, that what exactly is the right answer. Okay, so here you can see that very first statement is saying that it has been launched by the Northeastern Development Finance Corporation Limited. What exactly was the aim of this particular scheme? That is to develop the petty artisans of the northeastern region by providing financial assistance in the form of term loan for the income generating activities, and the credit facility will be provided under this particular scheme, and this is going to be a collateral free and carry a subsidized interest rate of 6% per annum, and this will be repayable in the period of 24 months. So when we talk about the correct statement which are being mentioned here about the Atmanirbhar Shilpkar scheme, then all these statements are correct as per this particular scheme. Okay, so here you can see that the Northeastern Development Finance Corporation Limited has recently launched this particular scheme which is titled as the Atmanirbhar Shilpkar scheme for the artisans. And what exactly was the objective behind launching this particular scheme? It was to develop the petty artisans of this northeastern region, and how these will be developed. Okay, how the development of these particular partisans will take place. This will be done by providing financial assistance in the form of term loan for the income generating activities. That means after getting this financial assistance, they can expand their businesses, they can modernize their businesses, and that's how it will lead to the development of the petty artisans, and they can also learn some skills as well. Okay, so that's how this particular scheme is really going to help these particular artisans of the northeastern region. And I believe that this question is very much clear to all of you. And now let's move on to the question number 7 of the today's session, which is on the National Hydrogen Mission. See, you can see the diversity of this particular session, that we have covered different kind of initiatives, the reports, the missions, the schemes which are being launched by the government, and they are really very important from the exam point of view. And that is why that we are discussing this particular in our today's session. And when we talk about the National Hydrogen Mission in this particular question, here you are required to identify the correct statement which are being mentioned here about the National Hydrogen Mission. Okay, and do answer the question in the comment section below. If we talk about the very first statement, it is saying that it was launched in 2021, and why exactly was launched? To make India a global hub for the production and export of the green hydrogen. Okay, then which will be the implementing agency of the mission? It will be Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. And the third statement says that it is going to put forward specific strategy for the short term 4 years and broad strokes principles for long term 10 years and beyond. And the right answer to this particular question is option D, that is all of the above. That means all these statements which are mentioned here are correct in relation with the national hydrogen mission. See, what exactly was the aim of, as the name suggests, of the national hydrogen mission, that it is going to make India a global hub for the production as well as the export of these green hydrogens and fuel cell technologies. Okay, so now when we discuss this particular mission in much more detail, here you can see that it was launched in 2021, implemented by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. See, these ministries, the launch year, are also meant to be remembered by all of you. And when we talk about the next very dimension, that is the aim, that is why exactly it has been launched, we have already discussed that. Now when we talk about the major activities which are going to undertake under this particular mission, and these are creating volumes and infrastructure, demonstrations in the niche applications, goal oriented research and development, facilitative policy support. And when we talk about the key features of this scheme, then this particular mission is really going to focus deeply on the generation of green hydrogen. See, obviously it is going to focus on these green hydrogen, as the name suggests, it is the national hydrogen mission, and the aim of it is also making India a hub of the export of green hydrogen. Okay, so I really believe that this particular mission is very much clear to all of you, that why it has been released by the government of India, what exactly are the key features of it, what exactly are the different activities which will be undertaken under this particular mission. So we have discussed all of them, and now let's move on to the next question. And now the next question is about the minimum support price for the minor forest produce scheme. Once again, there is a scheme which is in front of you, and you are required to fight with this particular question, that what exactly is going to be the right answer. And let's see that who else is able to answer this particular question correctly, that what exactly, that which of the following statements which are being mentioned here about the minimum support price for the minor forest produce scheme are correct in relation with the minimum support price for the minor forest produce scheme. The very first statement is talking about the launch year and the ministry which has launched this particular scheme. The second statement is asking about the aim of this particular scheme. The third statement is talking about the various responsibilities that is under the same. The responsibility of purchasing of the minor forest produce on this minimum support price will be with the state designated agencies. So here you are required to tell me the correct answer to this particular question, which is option D, that is all of the above. That means all the statements which are being mentioned here about the minimum support price for the minor forest produce scheme are correct. Okay, so let's discuss this scheme in little more detail, and let's see that what exactly is this particular scheme all about. So here you can see that this particular scheme was being launched in year 2011. Nodal ministry is going to be Ministry of Tribal Affairs. And what exactly was the aim? The aim of this scheme was to provide MSP to gatherers of the forest producers and introducing value addition and marketing through the tribal groups and clusters. See, this is really going to help these particular forest producers, which and their development is also very important from the country point of view. And when we talk about the coverage of this particular scheme, then this scheme will be implemented in 8 states. And here you can see that this particular scheme will be applicable and it will be implemented in the scheduled areas which are being listed under the 5th schedule of the Constitution of India. And for November 2016, the scheme is applicable in all states. Okay, so this is a centrally sponsored scheme. And why it was launched? For the marketing of the non-nationalized and non-monopolized minor forest produce. And this would be determined when we talk about the MSP of this particular MFP, that is minor forest produce, then it would be determined by the ministry with the technical help of TriFid. Okay, and what exactly when we talk about this particular scheme in much more detail, then this also states that it is going to establish a system which is going to ensure the fair monetary returns of the forest dwellers' efforts in the collection, primary processing, storage, packaging, transportation, etc., while ensuring the sustainability of the resource base. So you can understand very clearly this particular part, that why exactly this particular scheme has been launched, what is the major key main idea behind that, that is marketing these the minor forest produces which are being launched by these non-nationalized and non-monopolized MFPs. Okay, and this is a central sector scheme. centrally sponsored scheme, and under this they are going to provide them a minimum support price for their producers as well. So that was all the major part of this particular scheme. I hope that it is very much clear, and now let's move on to the next question. And the next question is once again a very easy question for all of you, and it is saying that the newly built Tu-160M Blackjack strategic bomber, which is capable of carrying 16 nuclear missiles, has made its first flight from the Kazan aviation plant. And here you are required to tell me the name of the country which has launched this particular a strategic bomber, whether it is China, South Korea, Russia, Japan. So do answer the question in the comment section below. See here in this question you are just required to identify the name of the country, that what exactly is the name of this country, and the right answer to this question is option C, that is Russia. So Russia. So this is the very first newly built Tu-160M Blackjack strategic bomber of Russia. Okay, and it has made its very first flight from the Kazan aviation plant, and it is a supersonic bomber, and it is really having a very high capabilities, that is it can carry 16 nuclear missiles and up to 40 tons of the payload, and that too at a speed of 2200 km per hour. Okay, and when we talk about the manufacturer for this particular bomber, then it is going to be Tupolev Aerospace Company. Okay, so that was all about this particular question. It was really a very basic question, but such kind of questions are being asked, and that is the reason that we are covering such kind of articles as well. Okay, so the next question is about once again a very important initiative recently taken by the government, that is the National Air Sports Policy. See, the draft of the National Air Sports Policy has been released recently, and this particular question is based on it, and once again you are required to identify the incorrect statement as per the National Air Sports Policy draft, okay, which has been drafted recently. So do identify the incorrect statement and then tell me the right answer in the comment section below. And here you can see the very first statement on the similar dimension, that it has been released by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. And then what exactly is the aim of launching this particular draft policy? It was to leverage India's potential for air sports, and will cover sports such as aero modeling, aerobatics, amateur built and experimental aircraft, gliding. Okay, and when we talk about the third statement, it says that under this particular policy, that is the draft national, that is a National Air Sports Policy, they are going to establish an Air Sports Federation of India. And when we talk about the right answer to this particular question, the right answer to this question is option A, that is only statement 1 is incorrect. That means statement 2 and 3 is correct. And what is wrong in the statement 1? See, it says that it has been released by Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, but this has not been released by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, because it is being released by Ministry of Civil Aviation, and that is the reason that this particular statement first is incorrect. So let's discuss this more in detail, and here you can see the very first line, that Ministry of Civil Aviation has released the National Air Sports Policy, and it seeks to leverage potential for the air sports, and it has been prepared with the vision of bringing India among the top air sports nations by year 2030. This is a target which our country is making, and let's see that what exactly is their point of view, and what exactly and how exactly they are going to achieve this particular target of making India among the top air sport nations by 2030. And how exactly they are going to do? They are going to do with the help of this policy, which is going to cover sports such as aero modeling, aerobatics, amateur built and experimental aircraft, gliding, hand gliding and paragliding, etc. And under this, an apex governing body will be formed, which we have already discussed about. So this particular air sport association, it is going to be accountable to ASFI with the respect to the regulatory oversight, and it will represent India at the World Air Sports Federation and other global platforms which are being associated with the airports in for which this particular policy has been drafted by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. So I really believe that this particular part is also very much clear. And now let's move on to the next question. And next question is once again on a very important program which has been launched recently by the government, that is the chips to startup program. Okay, so once again you are required to analyze these statements and then identify the correct option. See, you have to really start practicing such kind of questions. And why so? Because such kind of questions are being asked in the exam. You have to practice them very well so that in the exam you won't face any kind of difficulty in identifying and analyzing the statements and identifying what exactly the demand of the question is, that is the correct statement, incorrect statement. So these are the kind of questions which are being asked, and that's why you are really required to practice such kind of questions for your comprehensive preparation of the current event section of ESIC 2021 Deputy Director exam. So when we talk about the very first statement in this question, it is saying that what exactly is the aim of this particular program and which body has released, which was that this particular program is initiative of which entity, that is the Ministry of Electronics, Information and Technology, and it aims to train 85,000 number of high quality and qualified engineers in the area of VLSI and embedded system design. Okay, so in the second statement it is talking about the nodal agency for this particular program, that is CDAC, and then it would be implemented at about 100 academic institutions, R&D organizations across the country, startups and MSMEs. So when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer to this question is option D, that is all of the above. That is all the statements mentioned here about the chips to startup program are correct. And here you can see that chips to startup program. See, recently Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has invited the application under this particular program. And why this was launched? This was launched to achieve the objective of transforming India into the next semiconductor hub. Now you must be thinking that what exactly these semiconductors are. So these are those silicon chips which caters to control as well as the memory functions and products ranging from automobiles, computers and cell phones. Okay, so now when we talk about the aim of this particular scheme, we have already discussed that it is to train 85,000 number of specialized manpower over a period of 5 years, and these people will be trained in the area of very large scale integration and embedded system design. So when we talk about the key areas and developmental areas across which this particular program is going to work, then these are the energy and healthcare, agriculture, disaster management, emerging technologies, safety and security, and intelligent transport system. And when we talk about the participating institutions, then these will be academia, startup MSMEs and R&D organizations. So these are the organizations which are going to participate. These are 100 academic institutions which are going to participate in this particular program. Okay, and now here you can see that under this particular program, what exactly are the different categories across which these proposals will be invited by the ministry. Okay, sorry. So now when we talk about the nodal agency for this particular program, here you can see that the nodal agency for this program is the Center for the Development of Advanced Computing. So that was all important points that we have discussed about this chip to startup program that you are required to remember from the exam point of view. That is what exactly is the nodal agency, what are the different areas which will be the participating institutions, what exactly is the aim. So all these parts are really important from the exam point of view. Now let's move on to the next question, and the next question is, which one of the following countries has recently emerged as the largest exporter of cucumber and gherkins in the world? Whether it is India, Brazil, China or Bangladesh, do answer the question in the comment section below. And my dear learners, this is really a very basic question and a typical current affair question that you see, okay, in the newspapers. So here when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer to this question is option A, that is India. India has recently emerged as the largest exporter of the cucumber and gherkins in the world. And here you can see that India emerged as the largest exporter. And how? Because India has exported cucumber and gherkins to the tune of this much amount with a value of 114 million US dollars. And you will be surprised to see that India has also crossed the 200 USD mark, the 200 million USD mark in the previous financial year as well. And when we talk about some other important data, then nearly 15% of the production of the world's gherkin is being provided by India, and it is being currently exported to more than 20 countries across the world. So that was all about it. the major important part is here that India has emerged as the largest exporter of the cucumber and gherkins in the world. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question, and the next question is that the Union Minister for Heavy Industries has recently inaugurated the first coal to methanol pilot plant of India. And here you are required to just identify the location of this particular plant. See, if you have just read about this particular plant, then it is really going to be very easy for you to identify that what exactly and where exactly this particular plant is being located. Okay, so when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer is option A, Hyderabad, Telangana. See, such kind of basic questions can also be asked in the exam, as it is the first coal to methanol pilot plant in India, and that is the reason that you are required to remember just about these particular uh, information from this particular news article, that is, it is India's first coal to methanol pilot plant and it is being located in Hyderabad, Telangana. And when we talk about the design and the development of this particular plant, then it has been taken by the Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, and it has a capacity of 0.25 tons per day and is presently producing methanol with a purity of more than 99% from high ash Indian coals. So that was all about this particular question. Now let's move on to the next question, and the next question is about the first National Startup Day which was being observed recently all over India. So here, see, recently our Honorable Prime Minister has announced that India is going to celebrate the National Startup Day every year on one particular date, and that particular date all of you are requested to answer in the comment section below that what exactly it is, whether it is 16th January, 13th January, 9th January and 2nd January, and then tell me the right answer in the comment section below. And the right answer to this question is option A, that is 16th January. And why they have taken this decision, let's discuss this in little much more detail. So here you can see that India has recently participated its first ever National Startup Day on 16th of January 2022. And why it has been marked such like that, because this particular day marks the 6th anniversary of the Startup India initiative, which was being launched by the Honorable Prime Minister on 16th of January 2016. And my dear learners, this particular marking the anniversary as this particular day is also aims to support the startup culture spread across India. So when we talk about the Startup India initiative, whose anniversary has been marked by this National Startup Day, then it is an initiative launched by the Government of India, and this was first launched on 16 January 2016 with an aim to promote and support the startups in India by providing bank finances. And this scheme is based majorly on the three pillars. And what exactly these three pillars are? These are providing funding, support and incentives to the various startups of the country, then to provide industry academia partnership and incubation, followed by simplification and hand holding to these particular startups. So that was all from this particular question. And now let's move on to the last question of our today's session, which is about the Subhashchandra Bose Apada Prabandhan Puraskar. See, recently Government of India has announced the winners for the Subhashchandra Bose Apada Prabandhan Puraskar, and here you are required to tell me that what exactly, that which of the following statements which have been mentioned here are correct about the Subhashchandra Bose Apada Prabandhan Puraskar. The very first statement says that why it is being conferred, that it is being conferred to recognize and honor the invaluable contribution of the individuals as well as organizations in the field of disaster management. Then the second statement is telling us about the winner of this particular award in the institutional category, and the third statement is talking about the winner of this particular Puraskar in the individual category. So when we talk about the right answer to this question, the right answer is option C, that is all of the above are correct. So when we talk about the Subhashchandra Bose Apada Prabandhan Puraskar, so my dear learners, this particular Puraskar was being instituted by the government to recognize the excellent work which is being done by individuals and institutions in the field of disaster management, and this award is being conferred on the 23rd of January, that is the birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose ji. And my dear learners, when we talk about the winners, before that I want to tell you that this award is being conferred in the two different categories, that is the individual category and the institutional category. So when we talk about the institutional category, then the award has been won by the Gujarat Institute of Disaster Management building resilience for year 2022. And when we talk about the individual category, then this particular award has been won by Professor Vinod Sharma, who is a Vice Chairman of the Sikkim State Disaster Management Authority. So I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. This question is very much clear, and my dear learners, that was all from the today's session, and I really believe that today's session was useful and fruitful to all of you. If you are having any queries, kindly drop us a mail at hello@edutap.co.in. You can also call us at 8146207241. So stay healthy, keep smiling, and keep working hard. Thank you for joining us. Wish you all happy learning.